all, hip extension, the actual action is this. So no matter what exercise you're doing, your leg needs to go behind you, and I prefer it with a straight leg. What matters is the position of the pelvis, which is neutral and stable, and then what the femur head does. So if we were gonna use gravity, okay, so the resistance is coming from down below, then we could simply lean against a wall, a table, our kitchen counter. You're gonna line your feet up completely straight, tap that toe to the ground, pull your pelvis into a neutral pelvis, and then just lift the leg straight. Now, what I will tell you is, in my years of training, I'm constantly, can you zoom in on my foot, Lainey? People will get in this position and they will want to turn the foot out. This foot might kind of turn in a little bit. We go around our glute maximus by adding a little too much external rotation. Now, catch a glimpse of my pelvis, Lane. So if you lift your leg, and watch my back, okay? So if you do this, you really didn't even move your hip. You're lifting your leg by arching your back, okay? So you gotta be very careful to keep that tack down. Does that make sense? Camera woman, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, also the other thing that I tend to see is that people will do this. You know, they'll turn their hip out a little bit. You literally are going completely around the very thing you're trying to condition. No resistance is usually enough, but for those of you who want it, you can do something as simple as a TheraBand. Now the resistance is kind of coming from this direction, and I'm pushing back against it. So the resistive force is slightly different for hip extension with the band than it is straight up gravity. So the action of the glute medius is to do hip extension. It also is involved in external rotation, okay? Now when you turn your foot out, make sure you're not just doing your foot, you've got to actually turn around the femur head. And then the other action is abduction. So the action is extension, external rotation, and abduction. Now let me tell you how hard it is to externally rotate and abduct without moving your pelvis. The key to doing this exercise in whatever position against whatever resistance you use is to keep the inner core tightened and to keep both ASIS bones, or both pelvic bones, level. Turn that foot out, and then the action is right here, up and down. What I want you to look at is that I'm constantly looking down my body to make sure that both of my hip bones are level. The plant leg is also important. It needs to be squared off. The second you change the angle of the foot, it changes the angle of the femur head, it changes the angle of the pelvis. So same thing, you gotta really plant that foot on the floor, but this time you're going to do internal rotation, abduction, and hip extension all at the same time. You will feel a muscle that you may have never fired in your whole life. I'm gonna give you just like a little bonus that I love right at the end, which is to oscillate between the medius and the minimus, particularly if you have a weight on it, is to just go from external to internal right here. That's going between the minimus and the medius. Now notice my pelvis does not move. Hip extension, simple as can be. I'm putting my leg here. This is my weight, okay? So my body weight and my leg is the weight. Now it is important for alignment that you don't line up with either leg turning. The neurological flow will recognize that this is out of symmetry, so we straighten everything. In order to activate the glute, you cannot arch your back and lift. You're not doing hip extension. In order to do hip extension, and just zoom in real closely, because it is a little bitty movement, you're going to tuck the pelvis, and then guess what? Hip extension against gravity. And it's very difficult. You are going to move your leg away from the body, okay? So you can do this with cables or in standing, but let me tell you, I'm very good at stabilizing my pelvis. It is difficult, I think, with a cable to come across like this. Now, if you have the motor control to do it, I'm all for it. I'm gonna show you the best way is literally just to lay on your side. The key is to have a stacked pelvis and to balance with this front arm. And then all you're gonna do is just lift your leg. Now, if you want resistance, that is as simple as laying a weight on your leg, taking a TheraBand and wrapping it around your legs. But I can tell you, when you isolate the TFL, it is difficult movement. So all you do is this with very targeted movement. So most people tend to do this. If you move your oblique, you're actually accessing a line of fascia and leveraging that. And you're also compensating with the obliques. The key is to feel like someone's pushing you down like this, and then all you're doing is lifting. If I actually pull in my transverse abs, stabilize my hips, feel that lengthening through the oblique and isolate the TFL, I'm almost cramping from the very first rep. It's all about form over function. Does that make sense? What I'm saying to you is pump blood to one area, don't focus on anything else, and just get as much blood as you can into the TFL. All right, go build your heart butt.